Welcome, friends. Today, we are finishing off our Meo Fusciuni first impressions. Hooray. So, that is right, my friends. Once again, I have returned to you this time with a first impressions video, and we are finishing off our Meo Fusciuni sample set. Excellent scenes. So far, I'm not, excuse me whilst I hydrate, so far I'm not quite so sold on the brand, if I'm being perfectly frank. It's not been something that I would pay for or buy or anything like that yet. Let me just turn the light on. The sun has been illuminating the video by itself so far. Low winter sun, even though it's just November. Yeah, so today we have Sogni, Last Season, Buio, and Notturno. I trust I haven't done any of these yet. But let's start with Sogni. So, Sogni, or Sogni, Timeless Trilogy. Where am I? I'm dreaming, or maybe it's reality. Oh, God. Let me guess, you've been listening to fuck off. You've been listening to Bohemian Rhapsody, have you? Let's see what the old blurb says. More of a book than a blurb, but not to worry. Sogni meaning dreams, tells about that moment suspended between a dream and real life, that moment in which our mind and our heart are still in a distant place and we feel lost, confused as if suspended. What, suspended from school? With Sogni I told of my love for Japan, the memories of past travels, my passion for Kawabata and its literature, Kurosawa's films and bonsai. I tried to tell a new story with a warm, woody scent, my Japanese dream. One day, a long time ago, I thought and dreamed of being able to create a perfect woody perfume, where the different woods tell the story of time, the flow of life itself, once again a challenge. A perfume that could be unique and exciting and captivating. Sogni is the realization of my desire, an immediate experience incredibly close to reality and the nature of things, aesthetic devotion of nature. The opening of Sogni is tatami wood and Japanese pine needles. We are in an ancient ryokan in Kyoto, and the rain has stopped falling. A warm bowl of rice is next to us, reminding us of the simplicity of life, its purity, and carbs. Attention brings to the nose the green, clear, and transparent note of bamboo forest. The flowery note of the peony is instead an exciting haiku, an instant that precludes the awakening of our soul from the dream. Finally, the woods of this dawn envelop the woody notes of sandalwood, cedar, and the typical accord of the Kodo ritual, incense. A journey into the beauty of Japanese harmony. Sogni was created while listening to Async by Rikishi Sakamoto, reading the words of Kawabata during each of these stages. Fucking... Right. Creamy. I got something very creamy at the top, at the start of the top. Something that was a little bit like coconut milk, that kind of thing. It was giving a bit of Santal Messiah. Sandalwood, definitely. The rice has got that kind of creamy stuff, like when you boil rice. It can get a little bit creamy, a little bit texture, a little bit crunchy as well, depending on how quick or slowly you boil it. I do get something green, so you're probably talking about your pine tree there. Something a bit tea. Not a lot of incense straight off. I'll be honest, not a lot of incense straight off. It is quite Asian in its construction, though. It's got that lightness. It's got that kind of, I should say, East Asian. Asia's a big place. There's something a little bit papery about it. Now, I could be conflating the two fragrances and like stuff overlapping like a Venn diagram, but I remember Le Papier by Diptyque. They do stuff that's quite based around like this kind of Asian, this East Asian architecture, this kind of architecture as in the scent. It's sitting quite still at the minute, actually. It's become quite, I say woody, but it's like a generic kind of woodiness. Like there's nothing about the woody. There's nothing about the woodiness that says Japan. But yeah, Diptyque does this kind of thing, but to me it feels like it does it a bit better, you know? They conflate that Japanese elegance with like French elegance, and it kind of works. Tea, I'm getting more of the tea, I quite like that. It's becoming a little bit more green. The rice is becoming less apparent. But when I first smelled it, I got a coconut type of thing, or like a fig, coconut fig type thing, which is, I don't know, I don't want to say I recoil, but I kind of get into like this place where I'm like, I know how this one's going to go, you know. Okay, let's take a drink, excuse me. Let's move on to last season. What does the voice of nature smell like? Hopefully not halitosis or bad breath. Okay, let's see. What do you want from me? Ooh, smoke. Fuck! Lots of smoke. Fuck, Jesus. Imagine the world suddenly discovering itself to you through the forests, the water of the Baltic, the light filtering through the leaves of centuries-old trees. Imagine hearing for the first time and forever the voice of the earth, screaming as it burns. No. Last season was born out of a trip I took to Sweden. In days of peace, beauty and friendship, I rediscovered for a moment that pure feeling that is our destiny, to always go deeper, to experience them, to understand and rejoice in them, to venture into life. The depth is told through this fragrance, which leaves voice only to nature. Last season recounts my first steps into that pristine place. In a warm August morning, the aromatic notes tell of the arrival in the island of mosses. Everything here is submerged like ancestral lunar presences. Algae bind us to the water, lying on the dark rocks of the Baltic, laying. And then the steps, slow, respectful of us, guests in this green, earthy, moist space. The sun warms the bark of the trees. Animals watch from their dens. Us, men alone, in the heart of nature. Mother Nature, I have crossed all the seas to see you, crossed all the forests to speak to you, to listen to your scent. And now that I am here, I am speechless. I close my eyes and listen to your essence in this last season. Last season was conceived, created and arranged listening to each stages of these stages to the album Dark Wood by David Darling and Reading Walden by H.D. Thoreau. Leather, smoky, woody, dark, birchy, green, leathery, tobacco. Very smoky at the beginning, very smoky. That's kind of calmed down now, but it's like green, all kinds of different greens. Galbanum, leather, lots of leather, green leather. It's quite nice, this one, actually. Maybe some fucking, what's it called? Hay? Like wet hay? Excuse me, whilst I hydrate. The wet greenness, you know. Algae was mentioned in there somewhere. Mosses, island of mosses plural, different kinds of greenness, you know. Smoke still. Wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of fucking oud going on. Not quite amber wood. Not quite amber wood, thank God. Woody though. Nothing too fresh. Kind of smells a bit like, you know, earthy floor. I keep going back to the algae mosses, plural kind of thing. Lots of different facets of greenness. Fortunately, it's not too dry. When it first sprays on, when you first smell it, it's like, oh, that is very dry. Smoky dry. But it evens out a bit, you know. It's a big lump when it comes out. And then it diffuses. A little bit just a tiny bit resinous. But smoky resinous. That's quite nice. It's quite nice, actually, that. I don't mind that at all. I don't mind that at all. Could I eat a whole one? Could I eat a whole one? I don't know. We'll see. I might put it on. I've put a few of these on so far. They've been difficult for us. I'm not going to lie to you. You know. Let's see what we've got next. Buio. What are you? It's dark as far as I can see. Another dark one now, is it? Okay, let's have a look at you. Whoa. It's blowing a fucking gale out there. I think we've got the arse end of that hurricane, like. Oof. That's green as well. But quite dark. It's dark as far as I can see. There were days when my thoughts were everywhere, rotating slowly in my head, only to be stolen by time and fall captive to the happenings. The first accord born in this perfume was between cade oil, carrot seed, a smoky incense, cashmerol, cashmeran and suederol. Christ, really? Whoa! There was born the courage to change the course of my thoughts, their existence, my life. In those days when this perfume was born, I was reading books on Shinto and listening to Nils Fromm. I weighed each raw material as if they were necessary and fundamental words, as when you are looking for the right words to tell something important about your life to a person. It was my story, my path in the dark. Smoky and dusty notes open, no shit. Smoky and dusty notes open the life of this fragrance, an incense that holds centuries of stories, deep, mysterious and intimate, the dust of carrot seeds and the dark note of Cade. A dark heart where the deepest part of osmanthus and peony find refuge among the notes of geranium and magnolia, protected by labdanum absolute and amber notes. Which ones? The base on which this story I have told you rests is built on the notes of vetiver, patchouli, cedarwood and sandalwood, musk and leather. Buio has been conceived and created listening to the albums Empty by Niels Fromm and Ende Nuit by Einstrusend Neubauten. Tangy, weird, zingy, fucking big Cade, dusty, dry, green at first, but that dies off quite quickly. The Cade in it's mental, very much like a bubbling tar. That cashmere and suederol thing at the top is very apparent and very off-putting. I don't like that. It's tangy, it's almost like putting a battery on your tongue. The vetiver's in there somewhere. It's in there somewhere trying to get out. But it's dusty. It's almost like blood. Do you know blood? You know the tangy kind of metallic iron you get from blood? It's got that. I imagine that wasn't on purpose because it wasn't mentioned in the blurb, but it's bloody as hell. Metallic. More metallic. Oh, it's foul. I don't like this. Little bit of floralness in there as well, you know, from that like peony, geranium, osmanthus. And a little bit spongy. Rubbery, spongy. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. Those two fragrances there, Buio and Last Season, are kind of like two aspects of like smoky fragrances that go in like either direction, you know? Very odd that. Okay, the last one we have here is called Notturno, and I don't seem to be able to find... Yes, there it is. It's right at the beginning. Pretty sure I may have smelled this already. Please hold. I have smelled this already. What the heck? How did that happen? So where have I pulled that from? Well, that's intriguing. Unless there's a Notturno 2. No? Is there one I've missed? Oh dear. Who's a silly boy? How have I managed this then? I think there's one I've missed. Please hold. Well, it would appear that I haven't covered one called Luce. And that Notturno has snuck in somewhere. It shouldn't have been. Anyway, let's try this one. Luce. Oh. Luce. Luce Libre. Free Luce. Where are we? Okay. Let's see what it says. Don't know how that's happened, Blake, but not to worry. I ain't editing anything, and I ain't re-recording first impressions, because then there wouldn't be first impressions, would they? Ooh. Luce draws inspiration from the perfect harmony of Louis Kahn's architecture, works in balance, a meeting point between silence and night. I wanted to use my creative sensibility to give voice to nature and its elements, as if they were architectural bodies on the background of nature. Luce was born from my desire for stillness, from the desire to create a balance between nature and man, between light and silence, an olfactory architecture of the soul. The sensory translation of this perfume opens with the harmony of birch and spruce notes, like a plant song at dawn, a slow awakening, a silent presence of man. The absolute balance between light and silence is totally manifested in its heart. The intensity and harmony of sandalwood, patchouli and tobacco warm the soul. Quietness finds its fulfillment in the deep bass of this creation, a precious bed of amber and musks, enveloping the warm notes of cedar, vanilla, benzoin and a superfine leather. Celebrate this journey in an imaginary inner garden, a fragrance that envelops, protects, and spreads its light far away. Luce has been conceived, creating, listening to the album Hospice by Nenya. I got a big Parma Violet thing straight away. That's what I was going, for. I don't know that there is Parma Violet in here, though. I don't know, I got something very reminiscent of Parma Violets at the beginning. It's not completely gone away, if I'm being honest. Weird. So, this is talking about sandalwood and tobacco and fucking cedar and benzoin and leather and... I'm getting something very strange. I'm getting a lot of vanilla. Benzoin, but I'm not getting a lot of leather. You know? Sometimes leather perfumes do this. Sometimes you'll have a leather perfume that smells not that much of leather, because they pair it with stuff like fucking vanilla and fucking benzoin, and it makes it very soft and creamy, which I'm not sure leather's supposed to be like. Don't know that you can get a fucking... Don't know that you can get a creamy leather, can you? No, it's kind of a lot of nothing there, if I'm being perfectly honest. Creamy, a little bit dark, on the dark side of creamy, you know. Vanillic, not getting a lot of birch. Anyway, let's go back over them, friends, shall we? This is Sogni. That's all right now. I don't hate that. It's a little bit flat. I'm not sure. Not a huge fan. If I'm being honest. That last season has a lot of Mona Diorio's queer about it, but it's because it's so smoky. It's obviously the same smoke note. I mean, it's very familiar. It's very familiar, but the Mona Diorio queer is just absolutely brilliant, though. And that's not. Buio, tangy, synthetic, tangy, almost amber woody, like blood kind of thing going on, a bit like T-Rex there. And then Luce is kind of flat, doesn't really do much for us. Anyway, This concludes my Meo Fusciunis. I'll do a final impressions, and I hope to see you in that video soon, friends. Bye.